The pregnant woman came to the hospital with her pregnancy test report to see her seriously ill husband. But when she was about to open the door, she overheard a shocking secret. It turned out that her husband was the grandson of the richest man, but the richest man did not accept her as his poor granddaughter-in-law. In order to be with his wife, the husband was willing to give up his life. The woman who heard all this outside the door knew that only if she left her husband would the richest man save her husband. So she endured the sadness and wiped away her tears. The woman walked into the ward and asked her husband for a divorce. In order to make her husband give up completely, the woman said the most hurtful words. When she turned around and left, she was also heartbroken. Since then, the woman disappeared without a trace in the man's world. I thought they would never meet again. Unexpectedly, 7 years later, the woman was diagnosed with cancer. She was afraid that no one would take care of her daughter after she left. She had no choice but to ask her daughter to take the paternity test to find her father. After breaking up with the woman, the man returned to the family. At this time, he was engaged to a rich lady, and he also had an adopted son. Before the man figured out the situation, the little girl was maliciously pushed to the ground by the scheming woman and the adopted son. The scheming woman thought the little girl was deliberately sent by the woman to entangle the man, so she angrily scolded the little girl, and the mother was also a money grubber. However, the man's younger brother saw that the little girl looked very similar to the man. The man didn't believe it because he didn't know that the woman was pregnant, so he thought that the little girl had nothing to do with him. So the man didn't look at the paternity test and tore it up. The little girl was anxious and sad when she saw this. She thought that her father didn't want her to be with her mother, so she returned the necklace that her father had given to her mother to her father. Then she left in tears. When the man saw the necklace, he did think of the woman, but he also thought of the fact that he had been ruthlessly abandoned. Finally, he threw the necklace into the trash can. In order not to worry her mother, the little girl who wandered on the roadside at night told her mother that her father not only recognized her as his daughter, but also bought her beautiful clothes. But when the little girl told her mother that she would ask her father for 1 million hospital fees to treat her mother immediately got angry. She asked her daughter to live with her father in the future and not to disturb her. After saying this, the woman's condition deteriorated sharply. At this time, the little girl on the other end of the phone had already cried and couldn't speak. She told her mother that she was lied. Dad already has a new wife and child, and Dad doesn't like her at all. He didn't buy her a beautiful dress. The sad girl no longer wants to recognize the ruthless father. At this time, the sky began to rain cruelly. The figure of the little girl in the night rain looked particularly miserable. But at this time, the man's car suddenly stopped in front of the little girl. The man handed the little girl a card. He asked the little girl to give the card to the woman. The man wanted to use this card to buy off the past with the woman. After hearing this, the girl timidly asked the man how much money was in the card. After the man answered 500,000 after that, the little girl immediately said that she wanted 1 million. The man's face immediately turned black after hearing that. He immediately misunderstood that the little girl was a person who valued money as much as her life. Just like the woman, he was angry and immediately took back the card. He also closed the car window without hesitation and prepared to leave. In order to raise money for her mother's surgery, the little girl could only run to the man's car and kowtow to ask